everybody. Welcome back to episode number 8 of season 2 here at the Fantasy Cast. He's Ty White. I'm Lachlan McTagg, and we're also joined again today by another guest. It's not Christian Haggith.
Finally,
it's one of our longtime good friends, Mr. Will Azzopardi, joins us today. Happy to have him on here. Very, very knowledgeable in the sport of football through and through, I would say. Before we get to any crazy details about the fine sport of fantasy football, Ty, gotta ask, how's the week been for you?
It's been fantastic. Very, very busy. Worked a women's basketball tournament over the weekend, and it was very tedious. Very tedious schedule. Lots of shifts. And actually, on the Sunday, my boss is very cool. We were watching the football games together while I was doing the games. So that was pretty fun. Other than that, it's great. I was very happy. Just before the show, I threw a text, impromptu call to Mr. Azzopardi, and he was able to join us. And Lachlan, believe it or not, he's actually our first ever live guest who's not Christian Haggith. That's pretty impressive.
It's very impressive.
But how are you doing over in Arizona?
Doing well. You know, another eventful weekend for myself. Went to the Mullet Arena for another ASU hockey game. They swept Colorado College. They thrashed them in that game 6-1. It was pretty incredible. The atmosphere again was insane. Stadium sold out. Student section was rocking the whole game. It was such a fun atmosphere, in such an intimate atmosphere as well. I can't wait to see how it turns out for Coyote games too, because I know that the first at least 3 games are sold out for the student section.
Wow.
It's been a bit of a struggle to get tickets, but like they have this program called Coyotes U where the tickets are $25 for student section, which comparatively is like very, very good with the rest of the arena, because the rest of the arena is more like 220. Like, so we're getting a bargain for sure. And then, you know, this week's been busy for me work wise, but found out I got another play-by-play opportunity coming up with radio. It's on January 27th, I believe. I'll be doing a women's basketball call. ASU's playing Washington State.
Nice.
So yeah, just found that out like yesterday. So I thought that was great. And then it's Halloweekend this weekend. So
yeah.
You know, getting prepped to have a lot of fun. I got my costume ready to go. I think it's gonna be good. Celebrating one of my friend's birthday too on the one of our friend's birthday here on the 30th actually. So just a jam-packed weekend full of fun coming up. So I just got to grind, make sure I got no homework for it.
That sounds wonderful.
And I understand you're visiting our friend Christian Haggith this weekend for a certain university event.
Yeah, I'm going to Queens for homecoming and then coming back on Saturday because I have work. But going up on the Friday, so that should be cool to see the full part-timer. And some other friends there. Obviously, we know a bunch of guys that go to Queens, so that should be neat. But let's introduce our guest here. Will, where are you joining us from? Like, where the heck are you?
I am currently in Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Nice.
Yeah.
Over at Dow.
Yeah. Yep. Nice to be out here. A busy week. Had a few midterms. Went to the Mooseheads game last weekend.
Nice.
Q's always nice to get out and watch some fast-paced hockey. So, besides that, it's pretty standard. Also got Halloweekend coming up, like Locke said. So we'll see where the weekend takes us. But yep.
Well, what are the boys going as? We should ask that before we.
I honestly, you know what? I don't even have a costume yet, so I'm gonna have to go and get one.
Nice. What about you, Ty? What are you going as?
Yeah, what are you going as?
I guess it's a little different because like homecoming for Queens is like on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Are you gonna dress up for that?
That being said, it is like it's a Halloween party weekend.
Well, so I imagine people will be decked out in Queens gear during the day, but then once 6-7 o'clock hits and you've napped up after a full day out in the streets on Aberdeen, then. I mean, it's probably full Halloween after that, I imagine.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't really have too much string together. Maybe like a cowboy to some extent, because I bought the hat from Tennessee, a cowboy hat. So I mean, I might throw on an orange shirt and make a sign that says "Let's Ride," or so.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
That could work too. Locke, are you going as anything or?
Yeah, so I have something planned. So I'm going as like an authentic Canadian.
Oh, nice.
So you guys obviously know like the red and black checkered flannel I have, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna button that up. I'm gonna borrow one of my friend's pairs of jeans. And I have a bomber hat that I ordered as well. Like, one of those hats that covers your ears. It's got like a red and black checker with the fur on it. You strap it up at the bottom with like the lace and stuff, and you wear it
bushwhacker
fire. Yeah, literally. So I have one of those coming as well. And today my little mini Canadian flags arrived. So I'm going to stick a Canadian flag in each of the breast pockets on my flannel, and then maybe a couple in the hat.
Oh, yeah.
And then I also have a little maple syrup jug that I might tape a Canadian flag to, and I'll just carry around the maple syrup jug.
Oh, so you're going all out then?
Yeah. So I
all you need is some Molson, and then you're gone. Like some bat, yeah.
Yeah. So like some Moosehead. Speaking of where Will's from, yeah. So yeah, it'll be fun. I thought of this like a couple weeks ago when everyone was like kind of throwing around the idea, because some of our friends here who are girls, they're like obviously planning like way in advance.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking like October 1st.
Yeah, like they.
And then I'm like, oh crap! Like what am I gonna be for Halloween that like sticks out? I'm like, what if I just go as like a full Canadian?
Yeah.
Like, all right, let's do it.
It was out of the Cowboy or Jeffrey Dahmer, and I'm pretty sure I can't be Jeffrey Dahmer. So
no, I think that costume's going to be severely overused this year. Unfortunately,
I think a lot of people are actually going to go.
It's going to be severely overused.
There was also this other incredible. Actually, I think I might have the picture saved here. It's it's 4 guys in like an orange jumpsuit kind of thing, but they're all wearing jerseys of NFL convicts. So one of them is Johnny Manziel, one of them is Michael Vick, one of them is OJ, and then the other one's Ray Lewis. And I have the photograph here.
Oh no!
Like, could you imagine if you went to that with your friends? I mean, we get some laughs, but
yeah, I mean, you'd have to tap in a little bit to the dark humor side of things for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a creative one because that's easy to do.
You know what you got to do? You know how you can make that even better is you gotta go with like 4 guys all wearing those orange jumpsuits, or 3 guys wearing the orange jumpsuits, and the 3 guys wearing it are the Pouncey Bros and Aaron Hernandez,
the Florida Gators.
And then
you get you and your boys to go as the 08 Florida Gators.
Tebow. And the only person of the 4 who's not wearing the jumper is Tebow.
And he's leading the group with a cross. That'd be actually.
You and your boys.
Have the Pouncey brothers actually ever been arrested?
No, but they also started the Free Hernandez movement.
Yeah, and then one of your boys. Then one of your boys, Janoris Jenkins. And then you got to have like Urban Meyer there, just like Coach Urban Meyer, just standing, covering it all up for them.
Urban Meyer, and then also Cam Newton, who stole laptops from the University of Florida or something like that while he was there.
Well, he was the backup too, which is the craziest part because he was like 2-3 years away from winning a Heisman. It's just nuts. But anyway.
But like staying on the scary subject, Locke. 2 weeks ago, our fantasy football starts and sits. We were the worst we had ever been in our entire career. We went 3 for 11. It was an absolute joke. That being said,
it was abysmal.
This week's is not as scary. It's decent.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a little bit. I mean, another action-packed week of football here makes for a good week of fantasy football as always. I'll just go through some big weeks here at each position. Excuse me. Joe Shiesty, 40 bomb. There we go. He's back. He was looking good in that game against the Falcons. In the game that the Falcons, if they pulled out, they would have been top of the division with the Bucs loss, but they're still tied for the lead in the division, which is remarkable.
Very impressive.
They're remarkable. And the way the Bucs are playing and the lack of confidence throughout their system, you never know. The Falcons put together a couple good weeks and see where they are. Top running backs, Josh Jacobs again. Him and Austin Eckler topped that list, basically tied with 36 points each. Austin Eckler, unfortunately, in a losing effort for the Chargers. I know it's tough to hear for Ty. But one thing that you'll like, Ty, is that Ken Walker III, 28.8 points. He traded for him a couple weeks ago. That trade is looking like it's paying dividends right now. Yeah. And coming in at 5th on the running backs this week, if I might add, is Ramondre Stevenson.
Oh, God.
The fan favorite.
Like Ty's favorite.
Ty's favorite.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to Ramondre for. I mean, the guy's lighting it up right now. Good for him, but it's only because Damien Harris has fallen off a bridge. If he still had the majority of touches, you would be an absolutely nobody, my friend, and you still are a nobody to some extent because no one except for NFL fans knows who Ramondre Stevenson is. But congratulations. I owe you a little bit of an apology. And I did call him a year-round sit in week 1.
Yes, you did. You did. And if you hung on to that advice, and basically essentially what a year-round sit is, like you don't just like sit the guy. You like just drop him and he's not even on your roster because there's no point.
He's not even like in contention to be drafted. Essentially,
no.
That's what that's what like a year-round sit is.
He can sit on the waivers.
That's like some of the guys. That's like all the waiver wire in that 32-man league.
Yeah, and believe it or not,
year-round sits.
Will and I are in a 32-man league.
Dude, you're looking at the waiver wire and you're looking at like a 4th string. You're looking at like a 4th or 5th string wideout that's in for like 15% of snaps or something.
No, seriously.
Honestly, the thing is though, is like I'm genuinely not kidding. Is like I haven't even like checked the waiver wire once because my team like I'm like 11-3. Wait, Ty, isn't it? You get a win for beating your opponent and for having more points than the average score of all the teams that week, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're 3rd or 4th in the league. Will.
Yeah, I'm 3rd and 4th. Yeah. Well, because I got your boy Herbert 3rd overall there.
Decent, but like Herbert hasn't been playing great. Well, the ribs.
No, he's not playing great, but yeah.
But yeah, it's weird because that's a league where like CJ Uzomah is rostered.
100% rostered, yeah,
and not on the waiver wire. So it's very strange.
It's just a completely different dynamic, yeah.
That being said, Ramondre still went in the 28th round. So
good on you, Ramondre.
Good job, Ramondre.
Moving on to wideouts quick. This was dominated by Chiefs wideouts and Bengals wideouts because Jamar Chase and Tyler Boyd had 30 and 33 respectively, and McCole Hardman and Juju Smith-Schuster had 28 and 25 for the Chiefs. Good combo there for, obviously it's good to see Hardman atop that list, and as well Juju, a guy who was once very, very good in Pittsburgh and then, found TikTok. Enough said there. Tight ends, George Kittle tops this list with a nice little 21-point performance. Sneaky 6 receptions, 98 yards for a touchdown for the Niners.
Good to see him back and playing well.
Yeah, you love to see that, of course. And I think it was it National Tight End Day on Sunday?
It was something like that.
Yeah.
It might have been, yeah.
I mean, it's only fitting to have a George Kittle touchdown as he is like the epitome of what I imagine a tight end in the NFL would be. Now moving on to defense and special teams here. A couple big performers. The Cowboys defense and the Titans defense. Guys, the Titans have won 4 in a row and have gone completely under the radar.
Very impressive.
Derrick Henry's, yep.
Yeah, not to mention they're also in a crap division. I mean,
yeah.
The Colts benched Matt Ryan, in case you didn't hear.
That makes me so sad.
Yeah, that whole situation is unfortunate because I feel bad for Matt Ryan in a sense. Like, he should not have known that it was going to be like that kind of a scenario, but he should have known that he probably should have gone to a place where he would have had a bit of a longer leash, in my opinion, but still.
Yeah, given what they did to Carson Wentz last year in Indy, I was like, I don't know. Matt Ryan had an okay year with the Falcons the year prior. Like they tried the same thing with Phil Rivers. Don't forget. Like
It's a quarterback
this isn't the first. This
No,
isn't
yeah,
the
this is
first.
not-
This yeah. It's not the first year the Colts have like rolled the dice on a veteran QB.
Yeah.
And that being said, they made the playoffs with Rivers and actually only lost to the Bills in the playoffs by one possession. But like, they didn't make did they make the playoffs with Wentz? No, they didn't. They didn't make
No,
the
last
playoffs.
year
with
they
That's
Wentz.
like the biggest reason they traded him away was because they're like, oh, you didn't get us to the playoffs. Get out of here.
And then Matt Ryan comes in and gets benched for what's his name, Sam Ellinger or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
Who? Like literally, who is this?
Did they not say that Matt Ryan or like they don't see him playing any time in the foreseeable future or something like that as well?
Well, yeah, the
So what if
something bad's got to happen for Matt Ryan to make a start.
That's what I'm saying. So like what if like Ellinger is just like league bad like most quarterbacks we're watching right now. Like he plays like subpar but they lose, or it's a close game. They win every 2 of 5 games. Like, is that a reason to put Matt Ryan in? Like, I don't understand like what their even like mindset is here. I don't really get it.
Yeah, I have no clue what the Colts are doing because like they're just the run game is good. They have good receivers.
Yeah.
Their O-line is good.
Yeah.
But for some reason,
Their defense is supposed to be good.
Their defense supposedly is decent enough to win you football games.
Yeah, for sure.
But just for some reason, it just like they Matt Ryan just has such a short leash, and it sucks because as a Falcons fan, obviously like watching this guy, like I basically grew up with like rookie Matt Ryan, rookie Julio, right? So watching these guys do great things for so long and then now just finally seeing them maybe fall off a cliff a little bit is tough. But also because the Falcons are picking up a big portion of his salary too. Like I think this is one of the bigger salary retention trades that went down in the NFL.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That being said,
and
gone next year.
To go on Matt Ryan, sorry Ty, I just want to say like one quick thing on Matt Ryan. I just want to say like in my opinion, he's got to be a top 5 game managing quarterback of the 21st century.
Yeah.
Like 100%. Like he knows how to he knows how to win with talent. And that's what, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like he showed
that's
that he can have success with, you know what I mean?
I guess it's just age at this point. And the Colts, it'd be very interesting, especially fantasy-wise, if they draft a good quarterback in the upcoming draft.
Yeah, if they put themselves in contention for like not a lottery pick, but like a 10-ish
You'll
spot.
have options at that spot, yeah.
Right?
Could you imagine
Like-
they get a Stroud or a Young or
Ooh.
like their team could actually do bits with a
Colts
player
would
like-
draft another Ohio State QB.
Oh, 100%.
I'm not saying this draft is going to be like that draft, but every year we see quarterbacks taken really high overall, and we also see ones that aren't taken very high overall.
Yeah.
And sometimes those ones that aren't taken very high overall end up going on to greater things. So,
No, absolutely. So many quarterbacks after in the 3rd, 4th round.
if someone were to tell me like right now, like if I had to make a bet whether I'd say like Bryce Young and CJ Stroud would both be like NFL superstars, I would say no.
No, absolutely not.
To be honest with you, I would say that probably maybe not even one of them becomes an NFL superstar.
It's the same thing. Like I was very skeptical. I like Ohio State, but I was very skeptical.
Yeah,
Fields
they're playing very well right
coming
now,
into
by the way. I think
NFL.
they're the best team in the
Yeah.
country.
Ohio State's playing well. I mean, the Jigba guy, receiver, the guy's absolutely
A Marvin Harrison's kid, man. That guy's insane, bro. Marvin Harrison Jr.
Junior.
He's awesome, man.
The student section's always bumping. Yeah, we're worried with that, Lachlan. Where are we going?
We were talking about how bad Tennessee's division is because I said that Tennessee was a
special team.
Yeah.
So basically, we're done with the big weeks portion after that whole spiel. I sat back and watched that. That was great. Do we want to do? Actually, yeah. Let's do buds with duds quick.
Yeah, sure.
Because there's a few.
I think this is our 4th installment of Buds with Duds.
Yeah.
And there were some buds with some ugly duds this week. If you started
Yeah.
on fantasy, league losers or game losers.
Yeah, I'll list the 3 quick, and then We can say a few words.
Oh,
First one, Leonard Fournette. Second one, Mark Andrews. Third one, Cortland Sutton. Three fairly big names. Mark Andrews being, I think, the most surprising out of this list because, traditionally Leonard Fournette with the Bucs hasn't been that great in the regular season. He hasn't been, he's been good for you for fantasy, but he hasn't been playoff Lenny. And same with Cortland Sutton. He's been hit or miss, especially since drafting Jerry Jeudy. But Mark Andrews was the surprising one for me. I don't know about you guys.
Will, care to chime in?
I just think when there's that level of consistency and from that position, and quarterbacks look to their tight ends like a lot. They're lined up closer to the quarterback when the snap starts. They're always on relatively closer to the quarterback. It's a shock when you see a top guy have a complete dud. You very rarely see Kelsey have a dud, and when he does with the yards, he goes and gets 4 touchdowns or whatever last week that he got.
Yeah.
So I think it's a shocker, but I don't expect him next week to not go and get 25 again.
That's very true.
No, and that's the thing. That's the thing with this segment as well, is we throw these big names out.
No, yeah, and it's good to talk about big names, but these guys are going to go off again next week. So
100%. Well, if this was actually only, and it's out of the 3 that you mentioned, Locke, it is the biggest surprise because of the consistency factor. That's only his 3rd game below 20 points, which is mind-boggling. But the thing that's even more mind-boggling, he didn't even catch a pass. He had a rushing attempt for 4 yards and 2 targets. That is the weirdest stat line for a successful tight end that I think I've ever seen.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
But by far, and playing Cleveland as well.
In a game where you thought it's just going to be a routine 25 for Mark Andrews, because I throw this back to last year, season 1. We were mentioning this guy at the top of the tight end list almost every week.
100%. Yeah.
He was Lamar Jackson's right hand man, mostly because the Ravens don't have great receivers, but that's a whole nother story. But I don't expect this to last long because he's too good of a player not to get the ball more.
Yeah.
One thing to add too is the Ravens know that this can't go on for any longer either.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. They saw that this past week, and I'm sure John Harbaugh is thinking to himself right now, we won that game, but let's make sure this does not happen again because one, we have a short week. We're basically going down to essentially right after that game on Sunday, they're already going down towards Tampa.
They have 2-1 walk through, and then they're on the plane.
They're already practicing.
Short recovery. They got the win. I'm sure Mark Andrews, maybe not 25, but he'll get around 20 again, super sure.
Expect a touchdown this week from Mark Andrews.
Definitely.
It seems like those are the only great weeks that Lamar Jackson has. Passing the ball is when he targets Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
No disrespect whatsoever to Lamar in the throwing game, but obviously that's not his forte.
All right, so Ty, you mentioned we did better at starts and sits this week than we did the prior week. Do you want to take us through some of the starts here?
Absolutely.
That we predicted.
Let's get going.
Here, you take this. You could take the starts. I could take the sits.
Sure, and we'll talk about a few of them briefly. So I'll tell you what we got wrong first. When we got 2 wrong, we got Josh Reynolds wrong, and Bailey Zappi wrong. And,
sorry guys.
Zappy didn't.
If any of you listeners or viewers actually started him, we're genuinely sorry.
Yeah, very, very sorry. Or wasted a roster spot on this clown.
Does he have the record for most all-time yards in college football?
Does he?
I'm pretty sure he does. What?
Because I know
he
had over 60 touchdowns at Western Kentucky.
I know he's
Are you fact checking this right now, Will?
I am, yeah.
I did not know
because if this is true, that's a bomb of a stat right there that you just pulled.
Okay, I had the stat incorrect, but he broke multiple FBS passing records in 2021. he has the record for most passing touchdowns. So he broke he broke Hawaii quarterback Colt Brennan's 58 touchdown record, and he has 60 now. He has 62. He threw 2 in his last game. He needed just 289 more passing yards in the Boca Raton Bowl to surpass Texas Tech's B.J. Simmons, who threw for this is single season passing yards. He needed 289 more yards to pass B.J. Simmons, who threw for 5,833 yards in 2003.
Wow. So
all that to go out and put out 5.3 points against the Bears. Nice.
I'm sorry. I just made a humongous mistake. I didn't read the last part of that article. Zappy passed for 422 when he only needed 289, and he finished the year with 5,667 yards. So he holds 2 records in college football. He holds the single season pass all-time passing yards record and the
touchdowns record.
Yes.
Yep, and 62 touchdowns.
Wow.
62 touchdowns.
That's crazy.
In what,
Western Kentucky? Who are they playing at Western Kentucky?
In what, 14 games? He set that record in 14 games.
That is nuts. I want to know.
So this is not some this isn't some random guy who doesn't know what he's doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he actually did. If you were,
that's why I'm saying it's not even a bad pick to put as a start. It's just unfortunate that he's played like garbage.
What happened exactly? And Mac did get the start in that game, but then the crowd was happy, and he came in and he was 3 for 3 with a touchdown that he actually overthrew.
Guys, I just did the math, so that's 4.4 touchdowns a game.
Oh my
god. Yeah, he was going off.
What?
No wonder it was Zappy hour. But then he.
Okay, sorry.
He went downhill, and it was on our part. We horrible for telling you to start him because God, that's disgusting. So those are the 2 ones we got wrong, but the ones that we got right, we got them extremely correct, and we actually put this out in time for the Thursday night game, despite our episode being uploaded on Sunday. Kudos to you on that one, Locke. We said Chris Olave and DeAndre Hopkins in last Thursday night's game were starts, and we got those both right. Olave had 17, Hopkins had 20. Good to see D-Hop back. And the biggest one that we got right, very impressive, just pooping all over my Chargers here, Kenneth Walker had almost 30. He had over 150 rushing yards and 2 tutties. And one of them was a 66-yard run to the end zone.
Yeah, that was sick.
A great run defense, Brandon Staley. Pleasure to have you.
Yeah. So 3 for 5 in the start category. We'll take that any day of the week. A bold one for sure, I'd say, and Zappy. And Reynolds was more of an educated guess that just didn't work out. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Onto the sits now. Yeah, onto the sits. More of the same here. So I'll state the 2 ones we got wrong. We told you to say Christian Kirk. He put up 17.1. He had a good day for himself. We also told you to sit Jerry Jeudy because we thought Cortland Sutton would get more of the looks. We got that one wrong. Jeudy got more of the looks. He got the touchdown, 16.6 points. So unfortunately, we got those 2 wrong. But we got the ones we got right. Again, we got quite correct. We told you to sit Cole Kmet, and he didn't do much in that game. He had 5.2 points. We told you to stick Kareem Hunt as well against the Ravens. Kareem Hunt looks like he just wants to get the heck out of Cleveland. He does not look motivated anymore. There's no drive, I don't think, anymore there. So they gotta find a trade before the deadline for sure for him. And whatever team gets him is getting a weapon. He had, speaking of
literally,
Cleveland, obviously. Well, yeah, I was gonna. Poor choice of words there, Lachlan. That's on me. Okay.
Weaponry.
Yeah, he Kareem Hunt had 7.8, so that's another one that's correct. And the last one that we got correct was AJ Dillon. Just a measly performance from AJ Dillon against the Jets. He had 1.5. And then the defense we picked was the Bucs defense.
Yeah, not
ideal. Because
as much as I don't want to give you praise for that AJ Dillon pick, it was a good pick.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Will is a diehard Packers fan. bleeds cheese. And both our teams are struggling a bit. All our teams are struggling a bit right now.
Yeah, it's tough right now. Yeah,
Except for Buffalo.
Except for the Buffalo Bills, but
yeah, Buffalo's looking all right.
Yeah.
And then,
but we told you to start the Bucs defense.
Oh
and
God.
Theoretically, against a Carolina Panthers team that has not been good this season, it should have been a very good pick, but it just wasn't.
There's no reason why you wouldn't say to start the Bucs defense.
Yeah,
they just. I don't really.
I mean, hey, they didn't lose you points. So if you had the Bucs defense, they got you 1 point. But unfortunately, that's not enough for the 5-point threshold. So we got that one wrong. So overall, 6 for 11.
Yeah,
not bad. Better than last week. Double the correct answers that we had last week. So,
and we're trying to get back a little par. We're trying to go back to that 8-11 week. That was a seventh
immaculate.
But I do want to mention one thing quickly before I move on. I actually ended up in Lachlan. We played each other this week, and I only defeated you by a singular point. It was a very, very good matchup. Well, one of the reasons why I ended up coming out through in the end, I benched the Bucs defense and started the Jets defense instead, who ended up getting more points than the Bucs defense did.
I could have gone without that information, actually.
Oh, I apologize for that. Deontay Johnson also put a bit of an egg. I mean, he had 9.
And Drake London, but
and London too. Yeah, London played pretty garbage. Let's go on to a couple of our waiver wire picks here. First of all, we have Donta Foreman, D''Onta Foreman.
I'm going with Donta. Just Donta.
Donta / Chuba Hubbard, who both had good weeks last week. Both put up north of 15 points. Hubbard did his with a touchdown, but Foreman did his with no touchdowns, which was pretty impressive. He had a bunch of all-purpose yards. And obviously with CMC gone, a lot of open touches for a team that doesn't have much of an offense whatsoever. So those are pretty good pickups.
Yeah, next one, Gus the Bus Edwards. He's back.
Gus the Bus.
And with J.K. Dobbins on the IR with more knee issues, it just seems that he's going to get the majority of the workload now. Obviously, they have Kenny and Drake is there as well, but I think they really trust Gus Edwards because they went to him a lot last year, especially when obviously Dobbins was out with his ACL.
He was good last year.
Yeah, so I think he's a proven guy in that lineup, and I think if you have an opportunity to get him, you should.
I don't know.
It's so sad. It's so sad to watch J.K. Dobbins in his first few NFL seasons, because watching him at Ohio State, he's not the fastest, he's not the biggest, he's not the strongest.
He can find the gap in a phone.
He just finds the holes. He's like Jonathan Taylor. He's like Jonathan Taylor, like at Wisconsin. Like even like you watch these guys on TV. When you go to watch in person, when I saw Taylor at Wisconsin, like they're just so much more like elusive and electrifying in person. This is just some guys are just built to be NFL players.
And he is one. So God willing.
Oh, yeah.
And it's tough. I feel like it's tough to watch too, because a guy in a similar spot to him, Travis Etienne, he's looking really good in Jacksonville. And the fact that Dobbins hasn't quite hit his stride in Baltimore in an offense, which he should theoretically fit very well in, just is it's tough to see.
It sucks, yeah.
Hopefully he can get to a point in his career where he can have some consistency. But even we actually didn't mention this. I don't think it happened last week. Todd Gurley retired from football.
Yeah, he did.
After only 6 years. And he was a fantastic back, one of the best backs in the league in his heyday. But injuries ruined his career. And
his knees just were so structurally unsound.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I was hyped when the Falcons traded for him. God, that feels like forever ago now. Wow. But he just
But it was only 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or no, 3. It was 3, but he spent 2 years, I think, in Atlanta.
Yeah.
But no, maybe one, I don't know. Not long enough. Because he was a Georgia guy, right? So coming back to Atlanta, coming back to the state of Georgia, it looked pretty solid, but then it just his knees just weren't strong enough structurally to handle the way he ran. It's so sad because, I mean, what's that stat? He still has the most touchdowns since 2015.
Yeah. Which just essentially shows you
dominant he was. He had probably one of the shortest primes you'll see of any star player in the NFL.
There's only one player who honestly, they could have had the same amount of prime, but it kind of reminds me of one player who genuinely was a running back. He walked in the league, grabbed his I'm pretty sure he won an MVP. He might have won an MVP or just a rushing title, but DeMarco Murray just came into the NFL.
Oh, yeah, that's a name I haven't
grabbed
heard of.
an MVP, a rushing title, and then just left.
It's like, nah, I'm good, brother.
I don't know where that guy's at since.
Yeah,
he was on Cowboys when he tried to go to the Titans, and then that didn't work out for a bit. So,
dude, I've not heard that name in a minute.
It just
thank
shows
you for
like,
bringing that name up. That's crazy.
there is no running back longevity in the NFL. There is none. There's only a handful of guys who, if they were to get injured for the entire rest of the year right now, only a handful of guys would actually have a guaranteed spot on their team next year.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, and that just comes with the amount of good running backs that are in the college game right now.
Oh yeah.
And just the draft. Like you could get a legitimate solid guy.
PFL too.
Yeah.
Like those are all pros.
Yeah. So it's just it's such a carousel sometimes in football where if you lose your opportunity, you lose your chance. It's hard to gain it back, especially coming off year-long injuries like a torn Achilles or a torn ACL or any issues like that.
It's very rare not to get those. It shows you how impressive someone like Frank Gore's careers was. Like looking back, they were able to 20
how he was able to just stay healthy. Yeah. And didn't he had an ACL tear too, didn't he, early in his career?
Yeah. When he was with the 49ers or something like that. I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong about that, but let's go.
Yeah, athletes who stay healthy throughout the majority of their career have to be very, very grateful for that.
Absolutely.
We have one waiver wire we'll go to quick. It's another running back. It's Isaiah Pacheco and the Chiefs. Just a strange situation as he was the starting running back for the Chiefs last time out. And I mean, they have a bye. They're on bye this week. And we'll see if that makes any difference. But I mean, going forward, it's not ridiculous to pick him up this week, even though the Chiefs are on bye. And it's not ridiculous to see if he goes any further in that starting role with Kansas City.
I was just going to say, I don't know where it's going to go, even like just because he's a Kansas City running back and just the way that they run their offense and whatever, but still absolutely like no harm in picking this guy up right now.
Yeah.
Like there's like no negatives going to happen from picking this guy up. Obviously, you don't want to drop somebody important for him, but if you have a roster spot available, I see no reason why I don't go up and get him.
Yeah, because he could be a big boom in the future. Andy Reid, obviously,
exactly
how he uses running backs.
Just upside, basically, right?
Yeah, and as in his first game as technically the starting running back over Clyde, which they announced, they blew out the Niners, who are a good team, supposed to come potentially one of the teams to come out of the NFC. Loaded roster.
They have a good defense too, and he played well against them.
Yeah, very good defense. So that concludes our waiver wire pickups, and we're going on to our favorite part of the show. Probably is our starts and sits for the upcoming week, which is week 8 in the NFL. And the first one is actually a little bit of a cheesy pick, and we're gonna let Will do it. If you'd like to go ahead and do it, Will.
All right. So we're doing the starts or sits first?
Yeah, we'll go with starts.
We're doing starts. All right. First start is we're going with Alan Lazard this week.
Yeah.
I like that one. I think they're gonna need to look to someone early in that game against Buffalo. Like Green Bay comes off that horrible game last week. Rodgers, all the eyes are gonna be on Rodgers like right away. Everyone's going in this game saying Green Bay's gonna get killed, whatever. Wouldn't be surprised if that happens, but look for Lazard to get heavy volume from Rodgers because no one else is even playing anywhere close to that level right now. You can argue that Dobbs has his moments, but not really.
For sure. Not to mention he's been a bit of a stud in his last 14.
He's playing really well.
14, 17.
He's very consistent.
Yeah, which is the name of the game in fantasy.
Another thing on Buffalo's end too in that game, expect them to flood the Packers O-line with linebackers like a lot.
Yeah.
Because I think that there's going to be a lot of single coverage situations. And I think that Lazard is going to be a good target for that. Next start here, we got Michael Carter versus New England. This is a guy, obviously, the main man in New York, Breece Hall. Unfortunate season-ending injury. You hate to see it. They got a guy, James Robinson, which I think is a very, very good trade considering what they gave up, and especially Robinson's situation. He's kind of being forced out of the lead back role by the play of Travis Etienne. But I think this week Carter's got a very, very good opportunity and good chance to really prove himself and prove that he still deserves some time in New York, even after James Robinson comes in and learns more of the offense. But I think Carter's going to be the main back simply because it just takes a while to learn on offense after you're traded to a new team.
100%. Going on to our next one. This is a very, very interesting one, and someone who's either a boom or bust player in a sense, but he's been kind of more consistent lately. It's Tyler Boyd of the Bengals, and they're playing Cleveland on Monday Night Football. I believe that game is. He's had 12 and 29 in his last two. More importantly, the 29-point game. He had a huge game, like we mentioned earlier, Lachlan. We were talking about that Cincinnati offense. But Boyd is someone who is no stranger to the end zone. And a fantastic player who actually gets targets amidst a fantastic receiving core with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. But he's been playing very well, and they're playing Cleveland, who aren't exactly one of the league's best teams. So we like him this week.
Next start here, D'Onta Foreman. We talked about him earlier in the waiver wire. We're telling you to start him this week against Atlanta. Ty mentioned earlier he had 16 points without the touchdown. Chuba Hubbard had the touchdown. But he appears to be the lead back in Carolina. Obviously, I have a bias towards Chuba Hubbard just because, the Canadian factor and whatnot. It's pretty cool to have a Canadian playing in the NFL. But if in fact he is moving into the starting role in Carolina, it doesn't matter how bad the team is, as long as he's getting volume. That's all that matters. And with reports that DJ Moore could potentially be on his way to Green Bay.
Yeah, that would be.
I think some of those offensive pieces are just going out the door. Obviously, you saw Robbie Anderson get traded like 2 days after he got kicked out of the game or kicked off the field by his coach.
Yeah. Not the greatest situation in Carolina.
No, not at all. So I think D'Onta Foreman is a start as long as he's in the starting running back role, I'd say.
Yeah, and not staying on the theme of Carolina, they're looking like they're getting rid of a lot of their big players. They don't have too much of a squad. Even apparently there have been so many trade requests for Brian Burns, who's an absolute stud, but they haven't accepted those. I don't know if they will or if they want him to be a part of that rebuild team. Nonetheless, interesting scenario there. And we're doubling down this week, Locke. We're going to double down on the Bengals with Houday Joe Shiesty playing Cleveland again on Monday Night Football. We're saying to start Joe Burrow. He said 23, 20, 18, 32, and 39 in his last 5 games. Extremely impressive, including, like you mentioned earlier, a 40 bomb last week. Really, really good stuff. And once again, Cleveland's not that great. We like Burrow this week.
Yeah, he looks like he's finally hitting his stride too. He had a tough couple weeks to open the gate, I think. And I think now that he's got his feet under him and he's found his targets and, all the media attention from last year's Super Bowl appearance is finally kind of brushing off of him a little bit. I think that bodes well for any team. I think you're going to see that with the Rams as well in the next couple of weeks. Once the whole Super Bowl hangover narrative gets out of there, I think teams like that will start hitting the ground running a little bit more. But Joe Burrow, surefire start. This is probably the safest pick on this list, I'd say.
Yeah.
But hey, you got to throw yourself a bone every so often.
We admitted it. The Cole Kmet one was a pretty simple one for us last week, and we took that W. So moving on to sits now. All right, we're gonna move on to our sits, and we just want to quickly mention that Will Azzopardi had some technical difficulties over there in the boonies of Nova Scotia, so he won't be joining us back with that bootleg Wi-Fi over there. But you expect to see him back on the show. It was great having him on, and special shout out to Will. Thank you so much for coming, buddy.
Yeah, unfortunate, but stuff happens. I guess life happens. Is what it is.
We're looking forward to the next time you're on. But let's continue on to our sits. First one is Chase Claypool at Philadelphia. He's had 10, 23, and 9 in his last 3. He's not playing horribly. He's actually doing better than he was at one point. That being said, they are playing the number 1 team in the National Football League, no matter what anyone says. I mean, they're undefeated. In Philadelphia, at Philadelphia, not to mention too. Those fans, with the Flyers doing so well, with the Phillies being in the World Series and the Eagles being undefeated, that must be the most crazy set of sports fans, happy sports fans in the world. That should be a crazy game, especially the Pennsylvania rivalry.
Yeah, Philly's ready to explode. I mean, the Flyers are 4-2 out of the gate. Philly's first World Series, first time they're like actually good since like 2011.
Yeah.
And then obviously the Eagles with a 6-0 start. I mean, we saw that 2018 Super Bowl party.
Yeah.
They had to grease the poles, damn it, so they wouldn't climb. I mean, that tells you enough about Philly when they win. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I also think that George Pickens and Deontay Johnson have surpassed Claypool. Well, actually, George Pickens seems like he's like surpassing Deontay Johnson on the depth chart almost as the wide receiver 1, which is not making me too happy, but it is what it is.
Targets too, the end zone.
Yeah. Yeah, ever since Kenny Pickett came in, it's kind of the script got kind of flipped a little bit. Next sit here, we got Mac Jones at the Jets. I think we're going to come out on the right side of the ball this time with Pat's quarterbacks because I think Zappy's done. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think if you have an opportunity to put your starter, the quarterback you drafted as your franchise QB for the next foreseeable future, I think you start him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we're gonna see if we're gonna come out on the right side of the ball, but I'm confident that we will. So sit Mac Jones.
Hopefully. Next up, 2 quarterbacks. That's a bit of a rarity for us. We don't usually do this, but we like this week. Trevor Lawrence. I think this is actually our 3rd time telling you to sit him over the year.
I think we're 1-2 as well.
Okay, so
on his picks, which is interesting. Yeah, we can get back to 500 maybe.
For the T. Lawrence pick. So T. Lawrence at Denver. We're at Denver because Denver, although they're not a fantastic offense, they are a team that loses by only a margin of like 3 usually. And
shout out Denver's defense. Like they have gotten no credit at all because Russell Wilson has been terrible. Like if Russell Wilson was an average quarterback by like touchdowns, passer rating, and yards this year, they would be a much better team, large in part due to that defense.
100%. And the defense they're a bunch of studs over there. Surtain is absolutely fantastic. So we're telling you to sit Trevor Lawrence because of that Denver defense.
Next up, we are sitting Damian Harris against the Jets. Here's a stat for you. He has had 2-2 in his last 2.
There you go. And those aren't consecutive games, but those are games that he's played in. I don't know why. Ramondre overtook him. You bugger, Ramondre. Just did it to make me look bad. We're sitting him with the Jets. And then we're also doubling down in that Jacksonville-Denver game. We're telling you on the other side of the ball now. Sit Cortland Sutton at Jacksonville. Sutton's had 3 and 5 in his last 2 weeks. The week that he had 5 points, I believe he got only 3 targets. Last week he had 9 targets, but he only caught 3 balls. So hasn't been doing that fantastic. Obviously, that has to do with Russell Wilson as well. And that game's actually we didn't mention it long. That's being played in London. That's a morning game. So more of those 2:30 a.m. wing orders. Heat them up at 5 and the beverage of choice, and you're laughing by kickoff.
Yeah, you know the drill. Typical Sunday morning.
The Fantasy Cast special.
Oh God.
Moving them up hot and pissing off your neighbors, cooking those wings, and the oven starts steaming. Those are our starts and sits. Once again, last week we were 6 for 11. We got the defense wrong, so 0 for 1 there. So looking to improve.
I mean, hey, if we double our results from last week, we'll be 12 for 11. So
that'd be
people. That'd be cool.
That would be pretty.
Last segment of the show here before we let you guys go. The fantasy question of the week, and we've had a couple of blockbuster trades. Well, I'd say one blockbuster and one fairly large trade go down with running backs in the NFL. Obviously, the first one being the blockbuster of Christian McCaffrey to the 49ers. That's a huge one. And then obviously after Breece Hall goes down, the Jets turn around and trade for James Robinson. Looks like they're not missing a beat there in the run game. But my question, Ty, is what do you make of the situations of guys like Jeff Wilson Jr., Deebo Samuel, and Michael Carter?
So unfortunately for someone like Jeff Wilson Jr., he's out of the three names that you just mentioned, he's probably the one who's most in trouble, only because McCaffrey obviously takes over that workload, because you don't trade for a player like him. James Robinson's a bit different because he's new and he hasn't proven nearly as much as McCaffrey throughout. He's only been, this is his second year in the league, third year in the league,
I believe.
Yeah. So, but McCaffrey obviously is one of the premier backs in the NFL. Is going to should fit in nicely there on paper. So most of the targets are going to be and touches are going to be taken away from Jeff Wilson. I expect him to get some because very dynamic offense with him, CMC and Deebo. Very impressive. And then on the other hand too, you look Deebo's going to get targets out and touches out the backfield as well, but he's also an extremely dangerous wide receiver threat. So Deebo, you don't really have to worry about, or I wouldn't worry about that much either. I think he's going to see his fair share, and we both know that Kyle Shanahan's a bit of a genius over there in the Bay Area. And then you go to someone like Michael Carter, at least for the beginning, and we talked a little bit about this. That's why he's a start for us this week. In the beginning of James Robinson's tenure in New York, someone like Carter, who's trusted, who in his good games can see between 17 and 20 points, he knows the system, and he's going to be the lead back, presumably coming in to this week versus New England. You need someone experienced and knows the offense. So he's good for a couple weeks, but I assume that he will wear off because James Robinson is so impressive, fantastic back. He kind of clashed in a bad way with ETN in Jacksonville. I don't know why.
Yeah, I was sad when that draft went down. I was sad because they had 2 first rounders, and I mean, you can't help how dynamic. I think they had that plan going into the draft. If they were going to draft Lawrence at 1. And then wherever they picked late in that first round, it might have been the last pick of the first round.
I think it was.
Don't quote me on that. I'm not exactly. I know it was late, but I think they knew that if ATN was on the board, that they were going to snag him, and it turned out he was. So they were so dynamic at Clemson. So why not run it back in the league? I don't blame him, but at the same time, it just sucks for James Robinson, who came off, a great rookie year, and then all of a sudden, hey kid, you're an undrafted free agent. You just had one of the best historical seasons of any undrafted free agent running back in NFL history.
Yep.
We're drafting your replacement.
Yeah.
And obviously with the ACL tear of ATN, Robinson had another season to kind of prove himself. And he had a good year last year. It's just, the rookie season was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then now he was getting forced out strictly because the play of Travis Etienne. He's been great.
100%. And it's very nice. It's refreshing to see him go to a team like the Jets are actually doing pretty well. Very well, actually.
The Jets are doing well, and they want him to be there.
Yes. So that being said, as far as your question went, Michael Carter should be good for maybe 1 or 2 more weeks and a sporadic start for the rest of the year. It should be likely that James Robinson takes over that load, though, and very, very good news for managers if you're a James Robinson manager right now. So to summarize the fantasy question of the week, if you have Deebo Samuel, do not worry. If you have Michael Carter, worry a little bit. And if that being said, Michael Carter, you were already a little worried because Breece Hall took over that load. That was his job. He earned that starting job. And if you have Jeff Wilson, you should be a little bit upset, to say at the very least.
Yeah, I think Jeff Wilson's going on the waiver wire.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, unless barring some unforeseen events.
Yes.
But yeah, I think that's the fantasy question. So, bit of an action-packed episode, probably a bit of a longer one, I'd say.
Yeah, we had a bit of everything.
We had some great banter about Halloween, college football, Bailey Zappi's record in the FBS.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that the technical difficulties, happen on good friend Will's end, but I doubt it's the last time you see him on this show. So yeah, again, shout out to you, Will. You're a beauty. Thanks for coming on briefly. Love to have you. But that will conclude episode number 8 of season 2 here at the Fantasy Cast. The Thursday nighter. What is the Thursday nighter again?
We got the
Ravens and Bucks in Tampa, which is another interesting one because Tom Brady has been struggling, and I have been loving to see it.
People love to see that.
So yeah, enjoy the Thursday nighters. Get those lineups set, and then have yourselves a great Halloween weekend. Yeah,
happy Halloween, everybody! Spooky season for the Fantasy Cast. Amazing week of football. We wish you the best of luck. We hope our starts and sits go well for you, and enjoy it, guys. We'll see you next week. Take care, everybody.